Hello and welcome to Season 2 of the Road End podcast. Each episode we will speak to a new guest, get to know them and hear their stories about Liverpool Football Club.
Hello everyone and welcome to Season 2 of the Road End podcast. Today I am joined by Harriet Prior. Harriet is a presenter, reporter and writer who many of you will recognise from the Anfield Wrap and Sky Sport Transfer Talk. Thanks for joining. How are you?
Yeah, I'm good, thank you. I'm really good. Yeah, had a good week, good few weeks. Although the result last night probably didn't help the situation, but generally I'm good, thank you.
Yeah, we'll get into that in a minute. So let's start where you couldn't work. I feel like every time I switch something on, your face is there. So that's obviously good for you. How are you managing this workload?
Yeah, it's been a lot. So it's been a good year, really. That's what I will say. It's all happened quite quickly. So yeah, so work for the Anfield Wrap for about a year and a half now. Do producing, presenting, all of that kind of stuff on there. So we're basically a Liverpool podcast, been going about 10 years now. So I joined, a long way into that journey. So once everything was established, I put my face in and I absolutely love it, love doing that. And from there, I went on LFC TV and loved that as well and enjoyed being more in a studio setup. And then, I managed to get in with Sky and do some work there. So it's kind of bit taken off a little bit in a weird way, but obviously there's still so much more I want to do and achieve and so many more places I want to go. But yeah, I've been doing the transfer shows with Sky, so they're in August and January, which have been really, really good fun. Got my own show on the Anfield Wrap this year, and then do bits like press box, freelance bits, and a few other projects here and there. So that's why when you tried to get me on here, I said no about 5 times and sounded like I was really, really rude. But it was just because it was January, and January I had no time.
What's the long-term ambition then? You've mentioned that you're on like various shows on different platforms. So what's the ambition for you?
Yeah, it's interesting really, because I guess I'm going through that process now of like, what do I want to do and where do I want to be? I love reporting and I love presenting, and I think a lot of people do kind of a hybrid of both now. So at the moment I'm doing, I guess, a bit more reporting than presenting. So trying to explore both of those things a bit more, and hopefully one day feel like I've really achieved that and I'm doing really well. But I mean, there's always people you're going to look up to, isn't there? Like I'll always look up to like Kelly Cates and Nora Woods, and like could only imagine to like emulate a tiny bit of the success that they have. But if I get anywhere close to it, I'll be more than happy.
Good. So are you from Cambridge, is that right?
Yeah, well, yeah, kind of. So I was born in Cambridge. My parents now are based in Essex, and I've lived in Liverpool for a couple of years. So, but kind of moved all over. So I've lived in Germany, in Scotland, in London. I've been I've never really settled. So I've found my home in Liverpool now and love it here. So I intend to stay for a long time.
Where did your love for the club come from?
It was, I know it's a bit of a cliche, but it was my dad, and he's always been a fan, and it's kind of a family thing, even though we're not from the city. And I think for a lot of people that's, I guess, strange, but then that's so common now, isn't it? I think especially if you come from a place like Cambridge where there's no Premier League club like directly associated with the place you're from, it's really common for people to support the other big clubs, and most people from where I'm from supported Arsenal because it was the one that was like closer up the road. But I always was Liverpool, and that was what I was always exposed to, and then started coming to the matches when I was about 10. And then you can't not fall in love with it, can you? Like, no. As soon as you're coming and you're exposed to it and you're in that environment, like you just instantly want to be there all the time. So that was how it started, and it kind of grew from there, and my relationships changed with it over time, but it's always been like a really big part of my life, culminating in now where it is like my whole life basically.
You've just touched on it there. A lot of people get, let's say, discriminated because they're not from Liverpool, who support Liverpool, and there's a lot of unwarranted stick that people get, let's be honest. Do you ever get any of that? And if you do, what's your answer?
Oh yeah, all the time. Like all the time. Because I do things. I think what annoys people is that if I go on Sky, for example, as a Liverpool fan, that I'm like a representative voice for fans, but I'm not what they see as representative of fans, and I'm okay with that. And I never ever will try and represent all fans' opinions and be there as the voice of Liverpool. That's never what I would ever intend to do, and I'm always really cautious of that. But ultimately, like, there's so many people that have got voices in the Liverpool space, and loads of them from Liverpool, some of them aren't, so I'm never trying to like take up space. But when people perceive that, they'll go, well, what, she's not got a Scouse accent, or where's she from, all those things. And I find it hard because it is like you feel like, oh, should I be part of it, and should I be, you know, doing these things and speaking about these things? Should I need to have an opinion on these things? And actually, like, you kind of have to just ignore people on the internet. That's kind of what I've learned through the year and a half of being in this industry, is like, if you let people on the internet dictate your life, like, you would never do anything. So yeah, I've definitely experienced that a lot from various different people, but mostly just comment sections. And now I try and not read them. But yeah, it will just be like, oh, really good Scouse accent there, or why is she talking for Liverpool fans? She doesn't represent us. That kind of thing that you can't really get away from. So I just let it wash over me now.
Good, because I know most of the lads I know who go all the ways, you know, not many of them are from actually Liverpool, so it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter where you're from. If you're supporting the club and you're behind them,
I think if you buy into, like, I think what maybe some of it comes from is that people come and don't buy into the culture of the city, the culture of the club, all those things. And I get that. And I get that if people don't like necessarily align with the political views of the club and all those things, like that can be really difficult for people that live in Liverpool and are really strongly associated with the liberal aspects of it and all those things. And like, I align myself with all of that. So I've never like kind of got that side of it. When people kind of criticize me for that, if they were to criticize me for that kind of thing, I'd be like, well, it's not correct. So you can't. But I do get, you know, when people come from and they, you know, they're voting Conservative and then they're turning up and taking tickets to Liverpool matches. I get why that would anger people. It's a difficult subject, isn't it? But that's, I guess, where some of that anger comes from.
It must be weird though if you do vote Conservative and they're singing "Fuck the Tories" and you're sat there.
Well, exactly. It must be, yeah. But I think that's probably the side of it I get more, is like people hear my accent and kind of presume things about me that aren't true, and that people presume things about you that aren't true regardless of like anything, you know, they just will regardless of anything. So that's why you just have to let it not be the biggest role in your life, because otherwise you wouldn't do anything.
Well, while we're on the subject of like the stuff that you get basically commented on and things, I've noticed in the past on tweets of yours that there's a lot of sexism in the industry as well. It needs to be addressed, and it's not something everyone's comfortable with talking about. So I appreciate if you're not, but I like bringing stuff up that people aren't comfortable with, just to see where we go.
Talking about it.
Yeah. So as a woman, a very knowledgeable one, it comes down to some people feel threatened by the sounds of it to me, and that's why they do say, oh, she's a woman, what does she know, things like this. But not the case at all. If you know what you're talking about, doesn't matter what you are, who you are. How do you deal with the sexism side of things online?
Yeah, it's interesting actually, because my background from like university is, a lot of it is in gender studies. So when I was at university, I did a lot of research on football and the industry and the gatekeeping that happens by fans and people that feel like anyone that doesn't look like the stereotypical fan of a football club isn't welcome and is taking up space in their places, and it's under threat. It's like a threat thing. It's like a weird fight or flight that fans of football teams have. And so someone like me who doesn't, you know, sound like I'm from Liverpool and isn't a man essentially, and all these things, like coming into this space and speaking on platforms where they feel they should have a voice, I'm going to get that hate, and it shouldn't be like that. Of course it shouldn't be, but it is. And it's hard. Like the first time you get it, it's hard. It's always hard, but it's particularly hard when you're starting out and when you're really new to it all. And when people are, I don't care so much about comments like "get back in the kitchen," like those kind of things, because they're just stupid and they're just sexist people. But when people really attack you and your knowledge and your character and the way you look, you know, that's also laughable to me. But you know, because you're probably just sat in your little room at home and are writing horrible things online about people. But that's a reality that I have to read that stuff about. You know, I've had people calling me fucking ugly. I've had people calling me stupid. I've had people talking about my voice, saying I sound like I've got, I don't know, all these things that some of them are just totally untrue and like unfounded. And I've had people make up stuff I've said online you know, they said, I can't believe you've gone on this podcast and said that, and I've never said that, to try and like make up stories and make it sound like I don't know what I'm talking about, or make it sound like I have outrageous opinions. Like, people will do anything to tear you down when they feel they should be where you are. And in response to that, I always just think, well, I am where I am because I work really hard and I know what I'm talking about. And I'm sorry, but anyone that thinks you can be a woman in this industry now and just walk through the door is so wrong, because there are so many good women in this industry now. You have to be on your shit. Are we allowed to swear on here? Maybe not. You have to know what you're talking about, and you have to be able to hold your own. Otherwise, you just won't keep getting booked. So anyone that thinks it's good enough now to just be a woman, maybe 20 years ago they needed like an odd woman, so just bring anyone in. Not the case now. So I know, and I have to remind myself when I get this hate that I am good enough and that I deserve to be where I am. But sometimes, you know, I've had days, I won't lie to you, and I've never like sort of spoken about candidly about this, but I've had days where I've like cried and I've thought, I can't do this anymore. Like, I can't be in this industry because I can't be letting people say things like this. And I'm not even like, I'm not even like a millimeter of what like Laura Woods must get, or something, you know, people like that. And so if I want to progress and grow in this industry, how am I going to be able to cope with that? And I have to check myself, because I'm like, come on, again, my mantra, if you were letting people on the internet, you wouldn't do anything. So I have to really sort of make sure that I'm bringing myself back in. But sometimes it's hard. It is, and it's horrible that it comes with the territory. I just wish people would just be a bit kinder, because there's just no need for it.
I know. And, you know, I'm dealing with it from a man's side of things. I just get called all sorts, your opinions are shit, all this stuff. But you've just got to, I don't know how you do it, but you've just got to block it out, haven't you? Otherwise, you'd end up getting in an argument with people you don't even know exist. Lastly, on that subject, what message do you have for young girls or women coming into the industry in terms of advice?
Yeah, it's funnily enough, because I've just come off the back of a call with a girl in year 10, and we were talking about the industry, and it was so nice to talk to her, because she really feels like she's got every option open to her in the industry, whether she wants to play, whether she wants to be in media. Like, she doesn't feel any barriers. And my biggest piece of advice would be to just really make clear to people what your intentions are, because I think people come into the industry and think like, oh, if I'm good enough, people will notice me. Like, people don't just notice you. Like, if you and this doesn't just go for women, but I think sometimes women have to be a bit bolder about it. But everyone, make your intentions really, really clear. If you want to do something in a really kind and considerate way, make that known. You know, don't presume that you belong anywhere. Like, I should be there and I should be in this job, but make clear, like, oh, in the future I'd really like to do this, so do you mind if I come in and shadow you for a day, or do you mind if you read over some of my work or watch something I've done? People in the industry are so willing to help, and I think in particular, you know, if young girls came to me and wanted support and wanted help, I would always have my door open to them. And I think that goes for so many people that are in the industry now, and that have, like, you know, that are able to help people, they really will. So yeah, don't be afraid to put yourself out there, and just really believe in your ability, because there's 100% space for you, and hopefully will be more and more space as we, you know, continue to grow the women's side of the game, but also the women working the men's game as well.
Good. I like them answers. Anyone who's listening that needs that advice, take it on board.
Yeah.
Let's talk about the Anfield Wrap. It's massive and the content's brilliant. I've watched the Ergen documentary. How long did that take? I mean, I don't know how much you had a part in that, but God, the content in that, it must have took forever.
Yeah, it's unreal, and it's an amazing piece of content. So I wasn't sort of directly involved in the day-to-day of it, because I don't do like videography and editing and stuff. So we had the video team on that, and it took a long time, a lot of trips to Germany, a lot of trips to different places as well, to meet various people, and it's still in motion now. So we've got some really cool interviews at the moment happening for the fourth and fifth episode, which is the final two parts. So I can't actually remember when it started, but it's been over a year of everything being in motion and it all coming together. And hopefully, we've made a 5-part series that people really enjoy and that we're really, really proud of. So yeah, it's been a really cool thing to like be a bit on the sidelines of, but I've been helping because I speak German, so I've been doing the bit of the German help with them. Whenever they have a bit of Klopp footage, they don't know what he's saying. That's when I have to step in. So that's been my very small involvement on it, but it's been very cool.
So transfer talk on Sky Sports. It's great seeing you on the big stage. It really is.
Oh,
How do you
thank you.
find being in the spotlight on Sky Sports?
Yeah, the first time I went, so we had a rehearsal before the August one. That was the first time I did it. And get the earpiece, I like stopped. So someone spoke to me in the earpiece, and I stopped talking during the rehearsal on the show around the table with all the cameras on. And I was like, oh my God, what if I do this like in the actual show? Like, this is gonna be so awful. So I basically had the earpiece like turned off for the first like 2 weeks because I just couldn't handle all the cameras, because it's like there's like, I'm used to at the Anfield Wrap we just have one camera on us, and sometimes two. There's 5 cameras, there's so many lights, there's microphones, there's everything going on, and then you have your earpiece, which is like really difficult to get used to. So it's wild, like it's absolutely crazy. And then you're being pulled into hair and makeup, and then you've got like your prep time, and it's so much fun though. Like it's the most fun thing to do, and I'm like so grateful that I've got to be a part of it, because I absolutely love it. Like they've been my 2 favorite months of the last year doing those shows. So hopefully, get to do more of them. But it's intimidating environment for sure.
Do you know the earpiece? You see sometimes when you watch it, it feels like they're getting spoke to as they're talking. Is that happening?
Yeah, 100%. As
I
you're
couldn't.
talking, yeah. So I was on one when Danny Ings signed, and then it was on. I can't remember exactly the details of it, but it came through my ear that like, oh, we've got Danny Ings news breaking, like so. And I was talking, and then I was like, so you're having to like finish your sentence, but also like try and not, I don't know. And it was hard, and it's a bit wild to adjust to, that's for sure.
Talk about Liverpool then. Big sigh. Just as we thought we were getting somewhere with Newcastle, Everton last night, Real Madrid, humbling experience. First 20 minutes, I think.
Yeah.
First 20 minutes in a long time, to be fair. Then after it, I have no idea what happened. So talk me through it. What happened and why?
I know, it's so weird because we went 2-0 up, and I was like euphoric. This is dreamland. It felt incredible, and I thought, this is going to go so well for us. And then that is what Real Madrid do to you. And we were doing shows reflecting on it today, and it was a mad statistic. Like, it's the first time a team in the Champions League has scored 5 goals with under 10 opportunities. And the fact that they can do that, less than 10 shots, I can't remember the shots on target, whatever it was, but so little chance. And so, they managed to score 5 goals at Anfield, and you're like, that is what Real Madrid do. And anyone that's watched us play against them, will just watch them play, watch them in the Champions League last year and how they got to the final, everything. Like, this is just what Real Madrid do. But what struck me as the biggest difference last night between the two teams was the pressure and how they dealt with it. Because Real Madrid, they went 2-0 down. Their goalkeeper, Courtois, just made a huge mistake, and the head did not go down. We conceded, and then we conceded our second, and Alisson kicked the ball in the net. He was really angry, and he's usually quite unruffled, Alisson, but you could tell that they were like, shit, we have just let a 2-goal lead go against Real Madrid, and you cannot afford to do that. And I think then the third one went in from a set piece, really poor defending, and it unraveled from there. And that's been a kind of key thing, hasn't it? As soon as one thing goes wrong for this Liverpool team this season, it kind of, the confidence goes, and the mistakes creep in, and the ball is given away too easily, and it all goes wrong from there. So gutting. I feel gutted. I still can't can't kind of comprehend it, because it was so intense to be in there watching it. Like, probably the most intense I've ever felt at Anfield for a game. Like, really struggled with that, actually. And a lot of false hope, I think, for people trying to rally themselves round for the second leg.
Do you know what? Speaking of that, I've just watched you and Josh doing a few clips today, and I've seen you trying to get yourselves up for it the second leg, and I can see you thinking, oh God.
I know, you're thinking like, oh God, why are we doing this to ourselves? But also you kind of have to, don't you? So
it's a Liverpool thing, isn't it? Like,
I know, we always have that belief.
Yeah, we have that belief. Usually when at the second legs at Anfield, we have that belief. I'm concerned going to the Bernabeu that they can score, but I also feel like we can. So that's what I'm holding on to. The only problem we've got at the back, we're just a shambles, aren't we?
Yeah, it's not been good. Hopefully we'll have Kanate back for that one.
Yeah, them 3 weeks of Kanate seem to be going into the 6 weeks of Kanate, don't they?
I know, well, that seems to be what's happening as well, isn't it, this season? Any time you hear of an injury, they're like, oh, just a few weeks, and then it's like 2 months later, it's still going on, so we'll see.
I'll touch on one last thing then. So Henderson's book signing, I know you've done plenty of work at the AXA, and I was part of the long queue of people getting his book signed at Anfield. How was that experience?
So I think, I can't remember exactly what happened, but basically, yeah, we did like a little interview with Henderson about his book. So got to go to the AXA, and yeah, and I was producing, so I wasn't doing the interview, I was producing on that day, and it was like so cool. And I think when you go to like, every time I am able to meet a player, like it's the most incredible experience because I'm a fan, and it's like a lot of people, I guess a lot of people go there just for work, and it's like, oh, it's by the by, but like I'm going and I'm like, oh my God, this is the best thing ever, and I'm getting to meet my like actual heroes, so I've grown up watching for years, and then you're there and they're just genuinely normal, nice guys. And sometimes it's a bit like weird because you're like, I kind of want you to be just like really celebrity or just, but they're just not, they're just normal guys. And Henderson is definitely another one of those. So really nice, really humble, nice guy. And yeah, anything like that we get to be a part of is really special for us as a team. And yeah, for me personally as well.
We are now going to do a quick fire round with our guests. This could be very controversial.
Okay, so move on to a quick fire round. I finish each episode with this, so can be uncomfortable, can be good. Let's see how you take it.
Let's see how we go.
So talking about football or playing football, because I've seen you playing football, so come on.
Talking about it 100%. Playing is still, I'm still very much at the start of that journey. So we'll 100% go with talking about it.
What position?
I'm playing in defence at the moment. I'm more of a sort of centre back, sometimes a bit right back, but yeah, can't play on the left. Like my left foot, like as something goes wrong, I just can't like kick from that side. I don't know, it doesn't go well. I thought like watching loads of football would help me play, but it's just not happened that way, sadly.
Defensively then, Virgil van Dyke or Jamie Carragher?
Oh, I just love Virgil van Dyke. I obviously huge fan of and respect for Jamie Carragher. He's like one player when I was growing up that you just like idolise. But yeah, for me, I'm going to go Virgil van Dyke, and I have met him as well, and he was also a really just lovely man. So we'll go Virgil van Dyke.
Summer or winter?
Oh, I'm going to go winter, I hate the dark evenings, but I love like coziness and Christmas vibes. And I love a little cheeky Christmas sort of holiday in like November if I can. Like I don't go away from like, I'll maybe go, yeah, I'd rather that than like a summer holiday. So if I can go away, I'll just do like, yeah, something in wintry times when like all the countries are really quiet and there's not rammed with like school children on holiday. So yeah, I'm going to go winter.
Okay. If you had to work with anyone in media, who would it be?
I adore Kelly Cates and have had the chance to speak to her and meet her now on a few occasions. I'm thinking of it like people I've met, and I don't mean to come across like that at all, but it's just
picking them names up.
I know, but I hate people like that, so I would not want to come across like that. So and she's just genuinely really lovely, and I'd like only wish to sort of do the kind of stuff she does. But Laura Woods would be incredible as well. I just think she's so good at what she does. So personable, so approachable, comes across so well in everything she does. So I would love to meet her. I have not met her. I'd love to meet her and work with her. Would be really cool. So definitely someone I look up to in the industry.
Favorite drink?
Oh, like what are we talking? Like a
alcoholic
standard,
and
like
non-alcoholic.
Okay, alcoholic. I'm a cocktail person. I love a mojito, but like maybe like a strawberry mojito, if I'm feeling fancy. I love a gin as well, just classic. And then non-alcoholic, I don't know really. I'm just a bit of a water person, a bit boring really. So I like an iced tea from time to time. Bit
an
random.
Iced tea?
A bit old woman, isn't it? But I do like an iced tea.
Favorite meal?
I love a Chinese takeaway, like always. If I'm just like in a night in and I'm just like want to eat loads of food, it's just Chinese takeaway.
Perfect. Okay. Well, we'll call it a pod there. I know you've got stuff to do, so thanks very much for your time, and I appreciate your honesty on all the questions that I've asked you as well.
Oh, thanks for having me on. No, it's been good fun and appreciate it. And yeah, anyone that needs help or anything, just feel free to send me over a message.
Thanks to everyone for listening in to today's podcast, and thank you to our amazing guests. Without them, this wouldn't be possible. Don't forget to follow us on social media, twitter.com/The Road End Pod, and on Instagram /The Road End Pod.